You might think you've seen heartbreak before, but what happened in that courtroom was on another level. This wasn't just a divorce. It felt like betrayal was put on trial, stripped bare, and broadcast for the entire world to witness. Millions tuned in, reporters filled every seat, and the tension was so heavy you could almost hear people holding their breath. When Tamela Mann entered the courtroom, everything changed. Her eyes carried the weight of heartbreak, but her posture radiated strength. Cameras clicked non-stop, reporters whispered, and even the judge paused as if sensing this moment was about to make history. When the divorce ruling was finalized, silence filled the air until Tamela decided silence wasn't enough. She walked straight to the microphone, her voice trembling not with fear, but with fury. "You didn't just take my husband," she said, staring directly at David. "You tried to take me with him, but I'm still standing and the both of you are done." That one statement cracked open the story. Headlines flashed instantly. Tamela Mann destroys David in court. Divorce finalized after Dr. Jackie affair. David, once admired as a family man of faith, sat completely frozen. The same man who once preached love, sang with his wife, and built a reputation as a pillar of gospel music now looked pale and broken. His secrets weren't just revealed, they were obliterated. And sitting beside him was Dr. Jackie, the counselor who had gone from therapist to mistress. She didn't speak. She didn't have to. Tamela's words landed harder than anything she could have said. "You smiled in my face," Tamela continued, "while you crawled into my marriage like a snake." The internet erupted. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram hashtags exploded overnight. #justice for Tamela. #David the Diver. #Jackie exposed. What began as a private affair had turned into a global reckoning. The courtroom itself was chaos that morning. The halls overflowed with reporters, each jostling for position, cameras firing like flashes of lightning. The world expected a normal proceeding. Instead, they got a live performance of raw truth. Tamela, known to millions as gospel royalty, walked in with no entourage, no stylist, no glam team. Just herself, hurt but unshaken. Every step she took told the story: betrayal, endurance, and finally, liberation. Across the room sat David, the man who once shared stages and pews with her now refused to meet her eyes. He was sweating through his suit while his lawyer whispered frantically. Beside him sat Dr. Jackie, once respected as a television relationship expert, now revealed as the woman who had destroyed the very marriage she was hired to mend. Her polished image collapsed instantly. When the judge entered, silence fell. Then the gavel hit. The divorce was finalized. The ruling awarded Tamela a majority of the assets and full custody of their children. Gasps spread through the room, but Tamela wasn't finished. She stood tall, looked directly at David, and declared, "You didn't just betray me. You betrayed our children. You betrayed our vows. And you didn't fall in love, you fell into lust with a lie." Dressed as a counselor, reporters couldn't click fast enough. Dr. Jackie stayed quiet, her face stiff, her reputation dissolving by the second. Tamela turned toward the cameras. "He called me his queen," she said, "but he was handing my crown to someone who destroys marriages while pretending to fix them." It was electric. Social media captured it instantly. Tamela's speech went viral within minutes. Her strength celebrated worldwide. Even celebrities chimed in, praising her courage. But then came the moment that broke hearts everywhere. Tamela pulled out a wedding photo, her and David on their wedding day, smiling, hopeful, untouched by scandal. She held it up for the world to see. "This was us before the lies, before the fame, before Jackie. I kept this picture, hoping you'd remember who you were. But that man is gone. So, you can keep this now." She dropped the photo. The sound echoed through the courtroom like a gunshot. David's face drained of color. Jackie froze, wishing she could vanish. And the internet, well, it lost its mind. TikTok reenactments popped up within hours. YouTubers crowned her Queen Tamela, and fans compared her moment to Beyoncé's Lemonade. But the cameras didn't capture everything. Behind the viral headlines was a darker truth. The affair had been going on for years. It began during counseling. David had suggested therapy to save their marriage. Tamela agreed, desperate to heal what felt broken. But instead of repairing their bond, David used those sessions to grow closer to Dr. Jackie. At first it was texts, then private meetings, then hotel rooms. Tamela stayed silent for a while for the children, for her public image, for her faith. But the day she walked in on them in her own home, the illusion shattered. From there came a whirlwind, betrayal, legal battles, and an avalanche of publicity. David's camp tried to spin the narrative, calling it a private matter and begging for compassion. But Tamela refused to let lies dominate the story. She filed for divorce openly, and she made sure her truth was heard. Today, that choice put her on the courthouse steps as a victor, not a victim. She faced the crowd, microphones raised in her face, and said, "I'm not broken, I'm free." The cheers that followed were deafening. But the story didn't end there. Inside the courtroom, another twist unraveled. During a recess, reporters caught Tamela's daughter, Tia, shouting at David in the hallway, "You didn't just betray Mom, you betrayed all of us. You broke the family, us to play house with her." Security rushed in, but it was too late. Cameras caught it. The video went viral instantly. Back in court, Tamela's lawyers presented new evidence, an audio recording taken during one of those so-called counseling sessions. David's voice filled the courtroom. "I can't leave her yet, it'll destroy my reputation. But Jackie, you make me feel alive. Tamela doesn't see me anymore." The room gasped. David buried his face in his hands. Jackie's eyes darted, realizing someone from her own office must have leaked it. Her career wasn't just tarnished, it was over. Then came financial records, bank transfers, hotel receipts, luxury trips disguised as business expenses. The lawyer laid it bare. This wasn't just an affair, it was a double life, funded and hidden for over 2 years. David looked crushed. Then, in a shocking move, he stood and asked to speak. "I never wanted to hurt her," he said, voice shaking. "I was lost. Jackie listened when I felt invisible. But I crossed lines. I betrayed vows. I destroyed a good woman's trust. I don't deserve forgiveness, just understanding." The room was quiet, but Tamela wasn't going to let his words reshape the story. She rose and faced him. "You ask for understanding. Where was your understanding when I cried myself to sleep, wondering why you pushed me away? Where was your compassion when I begged for help and you called me dramatic? Don't pretend this was weakness. This was choice. Every kiss, every lie, every secret, you built this." Her voice shook with emotion, but her strength never wavered. "You weren't lost, David. You were gone." The judge cut in, bringing the gavel down one last time. On grounds of irreconcilable betrayal and emotional distress, the marriage of Tamela and David Mann is dissolved. The marriage that had once symbolized love, faith, and family was over. Outside the courthouse, crowds gathered, fans, critics, reporters, bloggers, all waiting for the couple. Tamela emerged first. The crowd roared, not because she lost a marriage, but because she refused to lose herself. In her hand wasn't a tissue, but a handwritten statement. She handed it to a reporter and said, "Tell them I'm not broken, I'm reborn." The reporter read it aloud. "To every woman who has stayed silent while loving someone who destroyed her, this is your sign. Stop surviving. Start reclaiming." The crowd erupted. Meanwhile, Dr. Jackie slipped out a side door, hiding behind sunglasses, chased by paparazzi. A photo of her would later go viral with the caption, "The therapist who broke the gospel queen." David stayed inside, alone. His phone buzzed with cancellations. Sponsors pulled away. Bookings were dropped. One network told him bluntly, "We can't sell redemption if you've buried the truth." The empire he built on faith and family crumbled in a single day. And just when the world thought it was over, whispers spread of even more secrets, leaked recordings, licensing investigations, and hidden voice notes waiting to surface. Because if this trial proved anything, it's that the truth doesn't stay buried forever. And for David and Jackie, the storm was only just beginning. A former church deacon once close to Pastor David went live on Instagram and exposed private counseling sessions that crossed the line between guidance and manipulation. The claims weren't fully confirmed, But the timing alone was enough to throw David into a deep public scandal. By midnight, this was no longer just a divorce case. It had turned into a cultural storm. Tamela, David's now ex-wife, was trending everywhere. Her gospel songs, once played in worship, were being remixed into anthems of strength and independence. Young women online began sharing their own stories of heartbreak, tagging her name and saying things like, "If Tamela can leave and still sing, so can I." One clip from court spread faster than anything else. It showed Tamela saying her final words to David, "This is my last tear. David, the rest of your life will cry for me." That single sentence reached 10 million views in less than 6 hours. But Tamela wasn't glued to her phone, watching reactions or tracking hashtags. She was already in the studio, recording new music, writing, and healing. Because when a woman rises from betrayal, she doesn't come back small, she comes back stronger than before. The courtroom thought the drama had peaked. Gasps had settled, reporters were lowering their cameras, and attention was on Tamela's trembling face. Then David's own attorney did something no one expected. She stood, voice unsteady, and said, "Your Honor, we have one last piece of evidence. It was subpoenaed this morning from Dr. Jackie's clinic." The room froze. David turned pale. He whispered to his lawyer, "Don't," but it was too late. The judge nodded. The bailiff opened the envelope and handed it over. Silence fell as the judge began to read. The shock was instant. This wasn't only about infidelity anymore. The document revealed financial fraud, medical malpractice, and a cover-up at a scale no one imagined. The report showed that David had authorized over $300,000 in payments from his family trust to Dr. Jackie's clinic using Tamela's name without her knowledge. The sound of Tamela's gasp echoed through the courtroom. She hadn't just been betrayed emotionally, she had been robbed financially and deceived legally. Chaos erupted. Fans in the gallery shouted. One of Tamela's cousins nearly lunged at David before security stepped in. Reporters ran outside to break the news, and within minutes, social media was in flames. Hashtags like #ManFraud and #JackieMoneyTrail shot to the top of trending lists. Then came another twist. Dr. Jackie herself stood up. Her voice was calm, but her words cut deep. "I never wanted to hurt Tamela," she said, "but David promised me a future. He said he'd leave her. He told me the money was his to give. I didn't know it was stolen from their estate. Whether she was lying or telling the truth, the damage was done." Tamela whispered urgently to her lawyer, and moments later, her legal team shocked the court. They filed a motion to freeze all of David's assets, pending a criminal investigation for embezzlement and identity fraud. The divorce case had officially exploded into a federal-level crisis. Still, David tried to defend himself. Standing with shaking hands, he shouted, "She was never there for me. Always touring, always performing. I was alone. Jackie made me feel seen." The judge glared at him. "You were married, Mr. Mann. You violated that vow, not only in your heart, but with someone your wife trusted. Someone you both prayed with. Someone she called her sister." The words sliced through the room like another dagger. Then Tamela stood. Her body trembled, but her voice was steady and clear. "Let me tell you something," she said, turning not just to the judge, but to the cameras and the world watching online. "I gave that man my youth, my heart, my everything, and he threw it away for lust, for power, for lies. He even used God's name to justify it. But I am done being silent. I will not protect someone who betrayed me, my family, and my faith." Applause broke out. Cameras clicked. The judge pounded the gavel for order. But Tamela continued, "I don't want another dime from him. Let the court seize what it must. What I want is my name cleared, and I want every woman watching to know. You can rebuild, even after someone tries to break your spirit." Tears streamed down her face. Even the toughest reporters in the room couldn't hide their emotion. David sat slumped, defeated. The charm that once carried him was gone. He was just a man caught in his own trap. The judge wasted no more time. She finalized the divorce immediately. Full custody of assets went to Tamela. Joint properties were seized and redistributed. David's accounts were frozen. Dr. Jackie was officially named as a co-conspirator in breaching marital trust. Outside the courthouse, the scene was wild. Fans sobbed. Protesters held signs reading Tamela, "Deserved better and pray for healing." Even gospel radio stations that once honored the Mann family as a model of faith now held emergency broadcasts about moral collapse and accountability. But the real gut punch came hours later. A video leaked online, not from court, not from David, but from a former staff member at Dr. Jackie's clinic. Through tears, she confessed that David and Jackie's affair had lasted more than 3 years. Jackie, she said, had become pregnant twice. One pregnancy ended in miscarriage. The other ended because David begged her to terminate, fearing his public image would collapse. The world froze. Tamela's fans were enraged. Major church leaders issued public statements, distancing themselves from David. Sponsorships and endorsements disappeared overnight. Netflix canceled a planned show about the Mann family. The gospel awards that were set to honor them canceled to dot. Yet while David's world fell apart, Tamela rose. That same night, she went live on Instagram. She wore no makeup, no glamorous clothes, just raw honesty. "I'm not perfect," she told her viewers, "but I'm free, and God is still good." Millions watched. Millions cried. Within 48 hours, her stream became the most watched gospel broadcast in YouTube's history. David went silent. Dr. Jackie's clinic shut down, and her medical license was placed under review. Meanwhile, Tamela announced a new album titled Uncheckable. Its first single, Lie No More, carried the tagline, "Inspired by pain, driven by truth." Within a week, it hit #1 on iTunes. This was no longer just a story about divorce. It was about a woman who turned betrayal into strength, who took every secret, every heartbreak, and built a new life from it. The courtroom's final ruling wasn't an end, it was a beginning. Tamela walked out not as a broken wife, but as a reborn woman. She dried her tears, lifted her head, and reclaimed her story in front of cameras and millions online. No more silence. No more secrets. No more pretending. David, once celebrated for his gospel image, was now a hollow echo of his former self. And Dr. Jackie, once praised as a healer, had become a symbol of betrayal. But the story didn't end at the courthouse doors. Online, the conversation grew louder. Hashtags like #TAMILA strikes back and #DavidIsDone spread worldwide. People weren't staying quiet, they were choosing sides, exposing receipts, and demanding accountability. What happens next is uncertain. Will David try to spin his own version of the truth? Will Dr. Jackie speak publicly or vanish into silence? And most importantly, what will Tamela do next? One thing is clear. This is bigger than a divorce. It's a reckoning. There are already talks of exclusive interviews, leaked voicemails, new witnesses, and even a documentary that promises to reveal everything hidden behind the stage lights and sermons. For Tamela, though, this is not about revenge. It's about freedom, faith, and reclaiming her crown. She walked into court as a wife on the verge of heartbreak. She walked out as a queen who refused to be broken. The world saw what happens when a woman stands tall, speaks truth, and chooses herself over betrayal. This wasn't survival, it was victory. And as the headlines fade and the cameras turn away, one fact remains clear. Tamela didn't just leave with her dignity. She left with her future. She didn't just survive, she won.